I'm Judy Sanders, and I came to Wallowa County, I think in about 1976, and started school teaching at the Enterprise Elementary School. And I had a third grade, and my friend Carolyn taught PE, and she taught my third graders. So that's kind of how we started our friendship. My husband was a previous guide from Halfway, Cornucopia Pack Station, and so it took a lot of women up there, the friends that taught the Enterprise. And so Carolyn said, well, she'd just kind of like to go and figure out what this was. And so anyway, Carolyn decided to go on one of our trips, and it was just a great trip. And she handled herself well, and she was just a great part of the group. And one story that comes to mind was we had been to Minam Lake, and then during that day we had met these two young men from Minnesota that were hikers, and we'd visited with them. And anyway, that night we had crossed over and we're headed down into Lake Basin, and we were setting up our camp, and lo and behold, these two hikers they had set their camp about 200 yards from us. And so my husband Bud asked if they could come over and have a little bit of black velvet with us, some BV. And of course they did. Well, they'd been hiking all day, and this place where we camped was just a marvelous place, and had been many people camped there, and campfires, and there were rocks around places to sit. And all the ladies sit down on the outside, and the men were sitting up around the fire and drinking their black velvet. And all of a sudden, this one guy had a little problem with his thingamajig, and all the ladies were sitting down in front, and we were kind of looking. I thought, wow, this is kind of hard to carry on a conversation like this. And anyway, this went on quite a while, and finally he did something to correct this problem. And anyway, that night we were in bed, and I said, did anybody see what I saw today? And Carolyn said, you bet I saw it, she said. And she said, I looked 3 times because I couldn't believe it. And we were called the Enterprise Elementary Sunny Bunnies. Well, we were going down the trail the next day, and one of the gals said, well, I think we need to change our names. We said, well, what do you think we ought to be called? And Carolyn said, yeah, what should we be called? And she said, well, why don't we call ourselves the Eastern Oregon Red Pecker Hunters? So from there on, that's what we are, the Eastern Oregon Red Pecker Hunters. So that was Carolyn's first trip in the mountains, and so we had a very delightful time, and that story has been around a long time. We even have t-shirts that say that now. Over the years, our friendship grew, and Tina was in a terrible accident. Both my girls worked with Tina at the Methodist Church camp cooking, and it was just right before the 4th of July, because my girls were going over to Lewiston to get illegal fireworks, and Tina didn't go. She was with some other kids, and during that time, and Carolyn and Ken were gone on the river with Senator Packwood. And anyways, Tina was in a terrible accident. It was a very stressful time. Her parents weren't here. We were set. It was just really sad. And my girls went to the hospital several times, Tina, and went over there. Your mom was always there, and your dad was there, and it was kind of nip and tuck whether you were going to make it or not. And things like this always kind of make your friendship a little more solid. In 1989, my turn came. I got a call in the middle of the night, and my daughter had been killed in an accident, a car accident out in Albany, Oregon. And the first one that came to mind in the middle of the night was Carolyn. I called Carolyn. She came up, and we laid on the bed together, and she held my hand. We didn't talk. I couldn't talk, and she didn't talk, and my husband was nonstop talking. It's just the way you handle things, I guess.
Yeah, people grieve differently.
Yeah, and so we just laid on there in bed. She said, Judy, I'm going to have to get up. I'm going to have to pack your clothes. You're going to have to go over to Western Oregon. So she packed all my clothes, and this was still in the middle of the night. I'll never forget Carolyn being there. And then afterwards, Carolyn was there. Every day we'd walk the loop, 3.8 miles, and every day I talked nonstop, and every day Carolyn listened nonstop. This went on for a long time, and I'll never, ever forget what she put into this, because I really needed her at that time. It hasn't all been sad, but I guess it's just been life, because we've had fun, we've had serious things. We've worked hard together on different projects, and Carolyn really got into hair. I don't know if we've talked about hair or not, but Carolyn is really into hair sculpture. A lot of people don't know what these are. They're called mourning wreaths, and that's not M-O-R-N-I-N-G, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G in the late 1800s. And anyway, she got started from, somebody gave her some of these to start with, and ever since then we have looked everywhere all over God's creation for hair. And she probably has more hair than anyone in this United States, and I think she could compete in that category. My younger daughter, it was discovered she had ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease. And that, again, this was a 6-year effort, or actually more than that, it's still going on. But Carolyn was there with me for 6 years, and because we cared for our daughter here, and usually Lou Gehrig's patients only last 2 to 5 years, and Sherry had 2 little kids, and she had a great desire to live. And Carolyn was there for me, not necessarily over helping with Sherry, but she took care of me, because it was a time that I needed to be, I guess I needed to have a strong friendship going at that time too. And we were still walking the loop and talking, discussing. And so she's been there for me a lot of years. And this one trip, we took the little brown turd clear across the United States, and that was a little tiny Honda, and we were delivering it to Cynthia.
In Washington, D.C.
And Carolyn, we did not stay in motels, of course not. We decided to stay in campgrounds, 2 ladies. We were a lot younger then. And my husband was just about having a conniption fit about me camping out and what was going to happen. But anyway, we camped out in a lot of really special places. And we did from special times in Colorado where we visited with gem hunters. We went into Utah National Dinosaur Monument and all of that. And I can especially remember that one dinosaur foot up there in this museum. Carolyn stood beside it, and the dinosaur foot was taller than Carolyn, and it was a real dinosaur foot. And we thought, well, we're in dinosaur land for sure.
That's closed now. You can't go in
Yeah,
there.
that's right. We took the kids there, and it was closed. We took our grandkids there. But one time, then we always had these AA books, which I'm not sure what, but we borrowed them. Somebody gave them to us. So everywhere we went, we looked up the little town. We tried to make it little towns, and found what was really significant about this area. Well, we went into some place in Tennessee, and it was the Casey Jones Railroad Museum that was the attraction. So we went to that, and sure enough, there was just a little trailer house, but what was really going on was a Civil War reenactment between the Union forces and the Confederates.
On Sunday.
On Sunday. And so we had to have our pictures taken, of course, and Carolyn says, well, I'm not going to have my picture taken with the Confederates.
Right.
I'm going to be with the Union. I said, well, I'm not going to be with the Union. I'm going to be with the Confederates. So anyway, we decided, she had her picture made with the Union officers, and I had my picture made with the Confederates. And actually, we kind of struck up a pretty good friendship with these old guys.
She did.
Oh, my goodness, couldn't get rid of them. Anyway, they invited us to sit out on these bales of straw. So we sat down there pretty soon. I said, Carolyn, I think we're in church. We're in church because they had said, well, in this reenactment, Stonewall Jackson, on Sundays, they shut down everything, and both the Union troops and the Confederate troops went to church. So they did not fight, and the Stonewall Jackson's group came across the river. I don't know for sure what river it was, but they all joined together for a church service, and we were right there. It was 100 years ago they had done this, and there we were. So we went to church, and a little gal from Louisiana, they asked if anyone could do this, lead the songs. She raised her hand, so we even had songs. So then Carolyn had to go to the bathroom, and there I was left with the Confederates and the Union officers, and wow. Anyway, they started getting really, well, they were a little bit flirty, and they They bought us both an ice cream cone.
They asked Judy one of them asked Judy to marry him.
Oh yeah, he was a federal judge, Billy Jack. Anyway, I wasn't too afraid, but anyway, I thought, Carolyn, get back. I don't want to be out here by myself. And so pretty soon Carolyn comes back. I said, Carolyn, look, you have a pistachio ice cream cone here. So we're eating this ice cream cone. These guys are around us. So Carolyn gets into a conversation with the electrician.
Yeah.
And he had boys and a girl, but he didn't believe girls ought to go to school.
See, back to my...
Well, she has 2 girls. I have 2 girls. We totally believe in education for girls. And more so than even boys, because men can make better wages than girls. Girls have to take care of themselves for the rest of their life and be prepared for this if something happens. So Carolyn was really getting into this. And I finally said, Carolyn, we are going to have to leave. So I said, come on, let's go. So finally we got in the car and we didn't look back. We thought it was a good time to exit.
We thought we were going to be lynched.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Oregon girls as much as what they thought they would like us. We were a little bit out of line with the type of women they had been around. So anyway, we went on into Missouri. Maybe we went to Missouri I think Missouri, I don't know. But anyway, we enjoyed the cicadas. You know, cicadas only come out once every 17 years. They're a special, they're called katydid back there, but they're kind of an insect. And we were in Joplin, Missouri, stayed all night in a KOA, raining. And it was just like an orchestra with all these katydids or cicadas. And before it was over, I did get a little bit afraid. I took my sleeping bag and got into the car and locked the car doors, and Carolyn stayed in the tent by herself. I thought, now we're getting a little close to areas where there's lots of population. But anyway, we just had a great time, and we kept trudging right along in Cynthia's little brown turd till we got into Maryland, and where she took the rig over. It was quite an experience. We have gone to Las Vegas, Atlanta, Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky, and we've actually been to Churchill Downs. We've seen Mind That Bird. We've seen the jockey. We've talked with the trainer. Cynthia even had her picture made with the trainer. Carolyn gambled, and I tell you what, she was very lucky. On the first race, she won $12, and she thought, I'm a winner. I'm going to quit when I'm ahead. So she quit. Of course, I lost because I didn't quit. But anyway, she came out of Churchill Downs a winner. And then we also went up the river on a stern wheeler on the Ohio River.
We've been to Boston.
Been to Boston, to Old Sturbridge Village. And that's an old colonial village where they reenact colonial life. We've done all of that, and we've stayed in, I think it was Copley Motel, a very expensive motel in Boston, where they had door people. When you got out, you're escorted in, escalators, and Carolyn it was really strange. We came, and Carolyn, when we got off our bus, Carolyn had on her muleskinner boots, her tight jeans, and I just kind of looked what I am right now, and I thought, well, I don't think Boston was quite ready for us. We don't miss a yard sale. We check the newspaper every Friday and Saturday, and oh my gosh, it's just great. Because I say, Carolyn, do you realize this one starts at 8? She said, I said, what time do you want me to pick you up? About 7:15? She said, why 7:15? I said, she doesn't start till 8. I said, Carolyn, we have to get there early. She said, I get embarrassed by this. And I said, well, I'll handle it. You don't worry about it. And so
I wait in the car.
She waits in the car, and I'll say, are you open for business yet? And
I don't want to get yelled at.
praise. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, who ever heard of someone 60-some years old retiring and getting into mules and all the buggies and all the things that go along with that? Carolyn has started out kind of small in a couple parades, and I think now she's in 5 parades, wins a lot of ribbons, and we are constantly searching for new themes. Farm chicks, or we did We haven't done Ladies of the Night yet, have we? No. We might. But anyway, we always kind of tried to figure out, we had Women with Hatitude, and then she did like Homeward Bound. She not only goes around here, she went to Elgin, she's been to Wallowa, Chief Joseph Days, the Mule Day parades, and Pendleton, Pendleton Roundup, and also Pendleton at Christmas. And so we have all these things we have to deal with. And we have to be ready, and we have to have costumes. And I'm sure you will tape the costume room because we have more costumes than anyone in Wallowa County. And now everyone is finding this out, and we are a hot item because I don't know how many times our little costumes have been worn at school for children, worn in church groups, in brownie groups, in Girl Scouts, and also for plays, drama plays in the high school. So anyway, it's getting around that Carolyn has a lot of costumes, and she's very willing to loan all of those. It made a lot of people happy.
People are starting to donate them to me too.
Yes. I expect us to continue to have fun. We often think we may one day grow old, but that's just a may, probably, because I don't think we're really planning on it.
We just walk slower.
We walk slower, and we're not going to quit no matter what, no matter if her knee doesn't work, no matter if my back's out. We're going to figure a way to continue to live, because we're probably going to go out kicking and scratching. And you know, I think that's a wonderful way to do it.